When conversations about gospel music legends arise, two names almost always surface side by side: Mark Lowry and Bill Gaither. Their enduring friendship, powerful partnership, and unforgettable performances didn't just make music. They shaped gospel history in ways that fans will carry with them for a lifetime. Mark Lowry became known as the comedian of gospel, the entertainer who could bring laughter to thousands, even in the middle of a worship service. Bill Gaither, on the other hand, was the steady anchor, the visionary leader who built the Gaither vocal band into one of the most beloved and successful gospel groups of all time. Together, they weren't just colleagues. They became a team that felt like family, not only to one another but also to the millions of fans who followed their journey. But in early 2025, at the age of 83, Mark Lowry surprised his fans with a heartfelt and emotional confession. Speaking quietly through a live stream, he admitted that the years of chasing Bill's endless dreams had finally caught up with him. With a calm but sobering tone, he said, "Bill's bucket list is endless, but I'm too old to chase it." Those words struck a deep chord. They weren't simply a passing remark. They were a reality check. For many listeners, it marked the closing of an era, the golden age of the Gaither vocal band with Mark Lowry in it. Fans who had long hoped for another reunion felt a bittersweet sting in that moment. Yet, even as one chapter closed, the story of Mark Lowry and Bill Gaither stands as something much bigger than a farewell. It is the story of humor and faith, of music and ministry, and of a friendship that never really fades. Even when the stage lights go dark, long before the world knew him as a gospel icon, Mark Lowry was simply a lively boy growing up in Houston, Texas. Born in 1958 as the middle child of Charles and Beverly Lowry, he seemed to have been born bursting with energy. His parents often struggled to keep up with his high-spirited nature. Eventually, doctors diagnosed him with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, a label that could have easily discouraged him. But instead of holding him back, that diagnosis became the spark that fueled his one-of-a-kind personality and vibrant stage presence. By the age of 4, Mark was already standing before his congregation at Bin Baptist Church, singing hymns. With a small but determined voice, though his voice was young, his presence was larger than life. And it wasn't just the singing. Mark had a natural instinct for humor. If the piano player hit a wrong note, or if there was an awkward pause in the service, little Mark would jump in with a witty comment that had everyone laughing. These spontaneous moments showed his unique gift, the ability to connect with people not only through song but through laughter. His grandfather's deep and unshakable faith also laid the foundation for the spiritual side of his life, shaping the values that would guide him in his career. As Mark grew older, so did his passion for performing. By the late 1970s, when he attended Liberty Baptist College, he was already blending his love of singing with his gift for storytelling and comedy. He wasn't just a performer, he was a communicator who could inspire, entertain, and comfort all at once. But his early career was far from glamorous. There were no big record deals or massive audiences waiting for him in the beginning. Instead, Mark loaded up an old van with a basic sound system and a handful of cheap polyester suits, traveling from one small church to another across the country. He sang, he preached, and he filled sanctuaries with laughter until people's sides ached. What set him apart was not just his vocal talent, but his ability to turn even mistakes into unforgettable moments. Those who attended his shows in the early 1980s remember the mischievous twinkle in his eyes, the humor that seemed ready to bubble out at any second, and the way his performances felt less like concerts and more like shared experiences. Word about him began to spread quickly, and it wasn't long before his name caught the attention of someone who mattered: Bill Gaither. By the late 1980s, Bill Gaither was already a giant in gospel music, respected for his gift of spotting not only remarkable voices, but also unique chemistry. When he saw Mark Lowry, he recognized something beyond talent. Saw a man who could bring laughter, warmth, and unpredictability to the stage. In 1988, Gaither invited Mark to officially join the Gaither vocal band as the baritone singer. That invitation changed Mark's life forever. The combination was electric. Bill was the calm, steady leader, while Mark was the unpredictable wild card who could make every concert feel alive. Audiences immediately loved the dynamic between the two men. With Mark in the lineup, the Gaither vocal band entered its most iconic era, stretching from the late 1980s through the early 2000s. He wasn't just another member of the group. He was the spark that made the band's performances unforgettable. Fans came for the music but stayed for the humor, the stories, and the heart-to-heart connection that Mark brought to every stage. Their concerts were not just about harmonies and hymns, they became experiences. Mark was famous for cracking jokes, poking fun at Bill, or turning a small slip-up into a comedy skit. Yet behind the humor, there was also sincerity. When he sang songs like Loving God, Loving Each Other, or I Do Believe, audiences felt the depth of his faith. This balance of joy and reverence gave the Gaither vocal band a unique spirit that resonated with millions. The Gaither homecoming concerts soon became legendary, filling massive venues and producing DVDs that still bring joy to fans today. Mark often joked that Bill was the straight man to his chaos. But in truth, their partnership was built on mutual respect and trust. It wasn't just a stage act, it was real chemistry. While Mark Lowry will always be remembered for his humor and his role in the Gaither vocal band, his greatest musical contribution may be a song he wrote back in the early 1980s, reflecting on the Nativity story. He penned a question that carried deep wonder. Mary, did you know? That question grew into one of the most beloved modern hymns of all time. By the 1990s, Mary, Did You Know? Was being recorded by artists across genres: gospel, country, pop, and even classical. Today, more than 400 versions exist, performed by singers as diverse as Pentatonix and Kenny Rogers. The song has crossed cultural and generational lines, becoming a timeless Christmas classic. Mark once said that his dream was to create something that would outlive him, something with greater depth than any joke or performance. With this song, he achieved that dream. Even Bill and Gloria Gaither have called Mary, Did You Know? One of the most powerful pieces ever to emerge from their creative circle. Its power lies in its simplicity. It does not preach, it wonders. It gently invites listeners to reflect on Mary's role in the miracle of Christ's birth, stirring feelings of awe that transcend age, culture, and denomination. In October of 2013, after decades of singing, laughing, and traveling across the country with the Gaither vocal band, Mark Lowry made an announcement that stunned countless fans. He revealed that he would be stepping away from the group. What made the moment even more surprising was that he left alongside Michael English, another beloved and longtime member. For the loyal audience who had followed them for years, this news felt almost unreal. Mark explained that while the group had been like family to him, he had reached a season in life where he needed his own stage in a new direction. At first, many fans comforted themselves with the belief that this departure was only temporary. They thought perhaps Mark just needed a break and would surely return after some time away. But as the years rolled on, it became clear that things had changed permanently. Though he appeared occasionally at special Gaither events, he never came back as a full-time member of the band. One of the main reasons for this was Bill Gaither's incredible and seemingly endless energy. Even in his later years, Bill never slowed down. He kept planning tours, traveling the world and performing non-stop. For Mark, however, that constant cycle of airports, rehearsals, and demanding schedules eventually became too much to handle. His body and his heart both longed for rest. By 2025, when he finally admitted openly that a full reunion was never going to happen, fans were faced with the truth. His decision wasn't about bitterness, wasn't about conflict or hard feelings. It was simply about time, about age, and about the need for a gentler pace in life. Still, Mark didn't fade away from music. Instead, he poured himself into a solo career filled with humor and gospel shows. He connected with fans in new ways, building an online audience through live streams, and even forming his own group, the Lowry Vocal Band. Meanwhile, the official Gaither vocal band moved forward with new voices like Reggie Smith and Wes Hampton. Yet the bond between Mark and Bill remained unshakably strong. They continued to appear together at special occasions, such as the Alaska cruise in 2025, reminding everyone that true friendship is larger than performance. About Bill Gaither, it is always with gratitude and admiration. To him, Bill was more than a band leader. He was a mentor, a guiding influence, and above all, a dear friend. Mark has often said that Bill gave him wings, not so he could fly away, but so he could fully become himself. Bill allowed him to be loud, funny, and unpredictable, while still respecting the seriousness and depth of gospel music. Mark's journey is proof that humor and faith can walk hand in hand. The shows revealed that laughter, far from being a distraction, was a gift from God. Bill Gaither continues to perform with new singers, keeping the music alive for future audiences, while Mark continues to reach people through solo shows and online platforms. The long-awaited reunion may never take place, but the love and the legacy are already written into history. For fans, that may just be enough. Like Mark himself, it is time to make peace with the past and celebrate the treasures already given. After all, the laughter and the songs they once shared were not just for a season, they were for a lifetime. Mark Lowry's career reminds us that humor and faith do not weaken one another. Instead, they make each other stronger. His jokes were never simply about earning a laugh. They were a way of connecting with people weighed down by heavy burdens. Through humor, he offered a breath of fresh air, a chance to look at life from a lighter perspective, and most importantly, a reason to feel hope again. Many fans have testified that his humor brought them joy during their darkest times. That kind of impact goes far beyond what happens on a stage. Bill Gaither understood this too, which is why he valued Mark's presence in the group so deeply. Faith-filled music alone is powerful, but when paired with laughter, it becomes unforgettable. Mark also changed the very way gospel concerts were experienced. Before him, performances often centered strictly on the music. But Mark added storytelling, conversation, and humor that made concerts feel more like family gatherings. Between songs, he would pause to tell a story, share a joke, and then guide the audience into the next hymn. This approach made people feel like participants in a shared journey, not just spectators watching a show. His style also encouraged other gospel artists to open up more on stage, blending music with testimonies in ways that reached deeper into the hearts of listeners. His storytelling never felt scripted. It was authentic, flowing naturally from who he was. Even today, when fans rewatch old concerts, they remember not only the songs, but the warmth of Mark's stories. That gift continues to shape gospel music. Today, of course, no story about Mark Lowry would be complete without mentioning the song that became a worldwide anthem. Mary, did you know? What began as a set of questions in his heart grew into a hymn that has crossed generations and genres. From country stars to classical singers, artists everywhere have embraced the song because its message of wonder and reflection touches people. In a deeply personal way, the lyrics invite listeners to pause and consider the mystery of Christ's life with simple yet profound words. For Mark, writing that song wasn't about chasing fame, it was about capturing a moment of sincere reflection. That act of honesty left a mark not only on gospel music but also on mainstream music worldwide. As Mark moves away from the spotlight, it is clear his influence remains strong. Younger comedians, singers, and storytellers often mention how he inspired them to be authentic on stage. He showed that imperfection can be a strength and that being real matters more than being polished. His openness about struggles like living with ADHD or his tendency to lose focus gave others permission to embrace themselves fully. In an industry that pressures performers to fit a mold, Mark shattered the mold and created his own path. That courage is what makes his legacy unforgettable, even if he no longer tours as often. The seeds he planted continued to grow in those who carry forward the same spirit of honesty, humor, and faith. For fans, his farewell isn't just about losing a performer, it is about cherishing the moments he gave them. Many remember watching Gaither homecoming concerts with loved ones who have since passed away, and those memories are priceless. Others recall laughing until tears rolled down their faces at his jokes, or being moved to silence by his heartfelt delivery of a hymn. These memories are treasures that remind us that the most meaningful moments in life aren't measured by fame or recognition, but by shared experiences of joy, love, and faith. Fans may not see him live as often anymore, but they still carry the joy and comfort his performances gave them. And perhaps that is the truest measure of success. Not how many albums were sold or how many shows were played, but how deeply someone touched the lives of others